Hello everyone, welcome back to the allotment. Certainly looking at it now and sitting here, you wouldn't realise that it had been raining for the last 24 hours or so. It's cleared up to be a lovely afternoon up here, and just virtually no one here as well. So it's been great to sort of get away, really peaceful and so on. Of course I'm here for the Allotment Dram. Today I've picked a really pioneering whisky actually. And this is the Benriach Curiositas, 10 years old. And you may ask, why is that pioneering? And basically it's from Speyside. Benriach is just south of Elgin, and it's been there since 1898. But that's not the reason why it's pioneering. Basically when this Curiositas was released first back in 2004, it was researched and shown to be the first peated Speyside whisky to be released as part of a sort of core range since before the Second World War. So it's really sort of blazed the trail for all of these other whiskies that are now sort of coming out from sort of distilleries from Speyside and the Highlands, which of course are not really known for their sort of peaty, smoky style. It's certainly not these days anyway. So they actually started producing peated whisky in the early 1970s, 1972 actually. So this is not a new thing. There are a number of distilleries, as I mentioned, in the Highlands and Speyside that do make peated whisky sort of outside of their regular style for a short period each year. But that's quite a modern thing, really within the last sort of 10 years or so. But if you think back, sort of almost 50 years ago now, Benriach started making peated whisky, and they've made it for a short period each year ever since. And all the ownership sort of through that time have seen a benefit to that. And of course now the current owners are sort of using it and bottling it as this sort of 10 years old. So here we go. So 46% non-chill filtered, natural colour and everything, and it's a really interesting whisky because it has three elements, three different types of cask, all of which are matured for 10 years and then married together by Rachel Barry, who's the master blender for Benriach. So there's bourbon cask, that's the main proportion, but then there's some virgin oak, a small percentage, and then there's also a pocket of a percentage of whisky that's been maturing for 10 years in dark rum casks from the Caribbean. So to have that, normally rum casks are used for this short sort of period of time, maybe 6 to 12 to 18 months, that sort of period. So to have something that's been matured for 10 years is quite unusual actually. So let's have a taste. Here we are. You see a lovely light golden yellow colour, really sort of glinting in the sunlight there. But it has that sort of feel anyway. Whenever we open this bottle, it can be sort of night time, it can be a dull day. It has this sort of vibrancy, this sort of colour to it. And on the nose, it doesn't actually smell that smoky really. There's some lovely sweetness. There's sort of honey and vanilla, maybe something a bit deeper like golden syrup or something like that. But then there's just this sort of savoury note underneath, which just adds an extra dimension. So let's have a taste. So again, this is lovely and sweet. Honey, vanilla, there's this sort of maple or golden syrup in there. Then there's some quite juicy sort of apples. There's always something I get with Benriach, is this sort of wonderfully sort of appley, like a crisp apple sort of note. Then comes this smoke, which is a bit different to, if you think of smoky whisky, you always think of like Islay or the Western Isles traditionally. But this is actually, they use peat taken from the Highlands, from the northeastern corner of Aberdeenshire actually. So this was never below sea level, so it's actually constructed, the peat itself is constructed of different substances and contains different things compressed over the thousands of years as they have on Islay. So because it was never below sea level, it doesn't have any of this seaweed or kelp or anything like that you get in Islay peat, which gives this acrid medicinal smoke. So with this, never below sea level, so it's all sort of grass and moss, and particularly sort of heather and fern and bracken and things like that have been compacted over thousands of years to make the peat. So it makes the peat a little bit sort of softer and sweeter, a little bit more rounded. It's slightly less sort of aggressive and acrid and medicinal than you would expect from an Islay whisky, certainly. So yes, you've got the sweetness, you've got this soft, gentle Highland peat, Aberdeenshire peat. Then you've got a little extra shot of the sweetness, which must come from the rum cask actually. It's a really sort of juicy hint of like tropical fruit. There's also a bit of candied lemon or something like that in there as well. So absolutely delicious. I mean, I'd certainly say, you know, anyone who likes smoky whiskey, you know, this is not a big peaty whiskey, it's sort of mid-range peat, but if you like a peaty whiskey, then I'd definitely recommend trying this out, you know, just for something a little bit different, you know, not from one of the traditional places, and from a place that's been making peaty whiskey for, you know, almost 50 years now. So absolutely delicious. And that's pretty much it, you know. Until next time, have a great evening, and, you know, keep safe, guys. Cheers. So good, so good.